Hello everyone, this is not the full version because one, there is spice in this chapter. So if you want to go see it, you have to go to my Patreon to see it, of course. But anyways, let's get on. Warning, spicy and gore. The night went on, us falling asleep in the same bed. And the next morning came soon after. And I am surprised that he thought you loved him. Lyra spoke as she did my hair. He's a fool, nothing more, nothing less. I sighed. Fusui will have to lie if he wants his kingdom to be happy. I took the paper off my table. Also, thank you for delivering this to me. I finished reading it. I then spoke as I placed the paper down. May I ask what it's about? Lyra wondered. Oh, Fusui wants to talk about the Empire's new name today with both of our courts. She nodded. Mama! Rowan walked into the room, followed by Kirishima. Hello, my queen. He smiled devishly. Good morning. I nodded. But we need to start getting going, or he will send someone soon. I sighed as we all left the room. We are here to speak about the Empire's new name. One of his courtmen spoke. Looking at all of them, they seemed old, like they couldn't even read without 3 pairs of glasses, and looked on the brink of death. I would love to name the Empire after both of the kingdoms, but I feel as if it would take years to find something good enough. Fusui spoke. After some time of the men chatting with themselves, Lyra spoke up. I'm sorry, but may I offer a name? Everyone looked towards her. Why did I pick this name? Nikaraz, the land of golden fields. I'm sorry if I ever say that wrong. Please don't ban me, guys. That is what Nikara means. Both lands are filled with culture and have been around for many years, hundreds of years even. I feel as if it fits. She nods, and everyone spoke to themselves, wondering either if it was all right that a woman that isn't from the kingdoms was here. I could tell. Fusui laughed. Man, it is quite a great name. I see why you are one of not the best in the kingdoms. Fusui nodded, then looked to everyone. That would be the name. Nikara Empire. He spoke, thinking of the name. He then turned to me. What do you think, my love? He asked. I smiled, looking towards where Rowan was seated, right next to me. What do you think? I asked. He looked at me for a moment, then smiled. It's pretty. He smiled. I then looked back towards Fusui, my smile fading into a frown. I like it as well. Fusui nodded. People continued to chat and chat until I moved my head to rest on my fist. I was getting quite bored. Then gasps and screams could be heard, a noise coming right beside my head. I froze and looked to the side. An arrow, right where my head used to be. Fusui looked in shock, and so did his sister. Who dares threaten the Empress's life? Kirishima walked in front of me, the eyes on his body looking throughout the room, his hair moving around like snakes, looking around all over the place to see who could have done it. You. He spoke after some time. A man was thrown across the room and right in front of him. Kirishima. I spoke. The room fell silent of the gasps, and everyone looked towards me. I pulled the arrow out of the chair, and stood walking over towards Kirishima. I stood in front of the man, giving Kirishima the arrow. Lyra, take Rowan out of this room, please. Now. She nodded, quickly taking Rowan out. Listen well, and listen now. I walked back to my chair. This is a warning to both kingdoms that serve the same name as of now. I looked over to Fusui. He just seemed like he just wanted to watch. This shall be a warning to all. Kirishima looked towards me, the eyes still watching me. You know what to do. I sat down once more. Kirishima looked towards the male again, his body broken, watching as his body grew and his limbs twisted, more eyes opening and looking straight towards the male. The screams of the male, being pulled and twisted, his bones being crushed, fixed and then broken once again. Kirishima throwing the arrow, making it plunge into his throat. He could still scream. He could still feel everything. The arrow slowly moving down his body and opening his organs for everyone to see. Gasps came from when they saw he was still alive, moving, trying to crawl away. Oh, I'm not done. Kirishima walked towards him, crushing his legs under his large foot. He screamed, blood coming from his mouth. Kirishima pulling his arms, breaking them off. This continued until the man stopped moving. Kirishima picked up the body and looked at it. Man, dead already? He tilted his head. Kirishima, take him away. I don't care what you do with him. I waved him away. Yay! Kirishima smiled, quickly vanishing with the corpse. Did you really have to do that here? Yelled a courtman. I looked at him. Do you want to be next? I spat. My love, Fusui finally spoke up. Did you not sleep well after last night? I looked over. He had a smile on his face. What do you think? I asked. I then sighed. Just get going with this thing. We have stuff to do. I rubbed the bridge of my nose and continued to work on changing our kingdoms until one problem came. Where will the new capital be? One spoke, and Fusui looked at me. I feel as if it should be near both barriers, since we will both need to be close to our original kingdoms. He waited for me. Don't you think it would be a waste of materials, having to build another castle? One that is for both of us? Hums and mumbles moved throughout the room, and Kirishima had quickly come back into the room after some time, with his smile bigger than ever. I don't think you would care about something like that. Fusui chuckled. Don't be silly. Only good royals think of the materials they need to use for other things. I then looked to the people. The new capital will be moved to Front Cava. Everyone looked shocked. But I raised my hand. Fort Cava, known for the war's bloodiest battle and the death of the late Tang King. It was close to both barriers, so they had to agree. Does anyone think different? I asked. They were all quiet. Now, if you excuse us, I stood up and walked over to Fusui, taking him by the collar and dragging him out of the room. Many people looked shocked at the sudden lovey-dovey I was giving him, if you call it that. You know you didn't have to drag me if you wanted something from me. He smiled as he stood tall and proud. About an air. He raised an eyebrow. But I shut him up with a kick to the leg. Shut it! I'm not done! He rubbed his foot and smiled at me. I think you yelling at me is better than kicking me. He chuckled, to which I sighed. But you want one, don't you? I blushed as I crossed my arms. Wait, are you? He looked at me confused. God, I really don't want to be yelled at any more people, I tisked. So, to shut them up, you'll adopt Rowan as your own. He looked at me now, shocked. Wait, Did you think I wasn't planning on doing it with you? I laughed, walking away from him. Well, see you tonight then. I waved as I left. He just stood there in shock, his mouth agape, I bet. God, that was funny as shit.